Thank you for checking out my build overview for the level 100 Soulbinder. This is my first build overview and the first time that I've played Grim Dawn in a few months, so I stumbled through some of the fights, but I hope you'll forgive, and I promise the next one will be better. I hope you enjoy. Alright, now that you've seen what the character can do, let's go over the gear a little bit. This character I created because I got all of the pieces of the Uroboruuks set. This was the first set that I've ever fully completed in the game, and I just had to make a Spellbinder to test it out. Not only that, but I really liked the feel of Drain Essence. I had already made 2 characters previously that used Drain Essence as their primary skill, and I was very excited to try out this fully fleshed version once I got the full Uroboruuks set. The weapon could be better. A little bit of the conversion is wasted on the Hex Launcher because the Uroboruuks set itself already offers full Vitality to Ether conversion, but that was the best weapon that we had for the time, and as you can see, the damage per second pretty dang high. Offensive ability also really high for some of the characters that I've played before. I really tried to min-max this character as much as I possibly could. I am absolutely certain this character could be pushed much further than this. I chose to add in a couple extra skills for pure damage. The Devastation adds a lot of single target boss damage that the build otherwise lacks, but the area it's not lacking in is survivability. Using Siphon Souls and Essence Drain along with Mirror of Arachtes alternating with the Spectral Binding, your character becomes nearly unkillable unless you really mess up. Our gloves and our skills greatly increase the amount of health that Drain Essence leeches back to you, and Drain Essence plus Siphon Souls constantly healing you, and the Devotion with things like Tip the Scales and other devotions that have healing procs and healing over time, such as Giant's Blood, all come together to equal a multi-layered defense that many monsters have a very hard time getting by. Despite me not playing the game in several months, the first couple Nemesis monsters that I fought, the Unseen Gonzar, he almost got me a couple times there, as you saw, but the build kind of carried me. The constant life drain and life leeching effects that are just happening passively, they made it almost foolproof. This is the character that I chose to farm the Lokar set with to quickly level up future characters. It never had a problem with the Lokar boss at any point with any specific modifiers that he had on. I was able to farm the entire set relatively quickly. I do believe a Spellbinder built very similarly without the Lokar set would be able to achieve such a thing as well. If you are looking to farm Lokar to get your own Lokar set, the Spellbinder has a very safe and beginner-friendly playstyle that only needs to move out of the way of the most dangerous attacks, but otherwise is better off standing still and continuing to channel the Drain Essence. Now let's go beat up on a target dummy over here, just so you can see kind of the damage numbers up close. Unfortunately, the skeletal minions from the devotion tree will not attack the target dummy, and to the best of my knowledge cannot be commanded to, but their damage is pretty negligible anyway. They're more there to slow enemies down and keep them from hitting you. All things considered, pretty impressive damage. Now let's take a look at how I spent my points. Only 1 point into Askandra's Elemental Exchange and its Elemental Balance modifier, just for the small additional bonuses that they add. nothing major. Only 1 point and 2 Mirror of a Rock teas. It doesn't really need any more than that. I did overcap Maven's Sphere to get as much damage reduction on myself as I possibly could, and put several points into Conversion to try to reduce the duration of some of the debuffs on me. I did try to max Devastation as far as I could for extra damage to those single target bosses, and most other points in the Arcanist are just single points and are then modified by our gear and other passives that we have. The only exception to this is the Nullification here. I really like this being maxed out for its cooldown reduction. It has a huge impact when you cast it. I would also recommend maxing Inner Focus for the extra offensive ability, and Spirit helps increase your damage. On the Necromancer side, we put as many points as we can into Siphon Soul, and we get the modifier to change all of its damage into Ether. We do not put many points into the Blood Boil, as it won't help our damage very much. Harbinger of Souls we put several points into over its maximum, as it's a very, very good passive aura. And Drain Essence we stack with the majority of our points here, putting it at its very maximum, and taking Hungry Reach all the way up to where it can affect 5 other targets. Spectral Binding is one of the best auras in the game in my opinion, offering a massive amount of flat health and offensive ability. And Spectral Wrath allows you to deal damage to enemies that are attacking you passively. Sorry I was not as familiar with this skill. It's called Mark of Torment. I do believe I called it Spectral Binding earlier, but it does bind you to an enemy, and it helps increase your single target damage quite a bit. All the damage you take will be taken by the enemies as well. I took Raise Dead to deal some damage and slow targets and reduce their resistances. Giant's Blood for extra health and health regeneration. Will of Ratosh to reduce their resistances and put a very strong damage over time effect on the enemies. The Turtle to save me if somehow all of my leeching abilities were down. And at this point I realized that I did not actually have Tip the Scales assigned to anything. This is a massive facepalm because this singular devotion is a huge lifesaver and counts for a lot of our passive healing. Cleanse the Waters is nice, and I keep it on my movement skill, so every time I teleport, I can fully cleanse everyone around and cleanse all the debuffs off myself. And Arcane Bomb is really nice for reducing their ether resistance. Thank you all so much for watching this build overview. It's my very first one, and I had a ton of fun. I love Grim Dawn, and I hope to be bringing you more of these soon. As always, peace.